The story continues from previous tense developments. In the classroom, Elizabeth informs her students of their excellent test results and rewards them with an upcoming field trip to study entomology. As she explains that entomology is the study of insects, the class ends with the children's eager anticipation. Jack Thornton appears later, not as a constable, but to invite Elizabeth to dinner on Saturday. The constable is quite formal, explaining that his previous invitation didn't go well, and this time he wants to assure Elizabeth she doesn't need to cook. Elizabeth happily accepts. As Jack prepares to leave, Elizabeth asks if that's all, and Jack politely asks for his hand back, which he was still holding. A big surprise occurs when Julie Thatcher, Elizabeth's sister, suddenly arrives in Coal Valley with a Mountie escort, Patrick O'Reilly. Julie, with her lively and somewhat frivolous personality, is fascinated by the Wild West, and is particularly keen to meet her sisters, Man in the Red Serge. Julie's arrival comes with an enormous suitcase, surprising Abigail Stanton, who is hosting Julie, who introduces herself as Julie Thatcher, when Julie mentions her intention to stay and asks how long she plans to be there, though Elizabeth explains that for Julie, it's barely a week's worth of clothes and perhaps no occasion will call for such attire. Julie suggests Elizabeth is trying to keep her relationship with Jack a secret, describing it as an irresistible gravitational pull between them, like the Earth to the Moon, and she saw the way Elizabeth looked at Jack. Elizabeth, though initially secretive, eventually admits to her sister that Jack invited her to dinner. Julie is thrilled, likening her sister's story to a romance novel where a beautiful. Meanwhile, Abigail's cafe is ready to open, and she wishes everyone a lovely day. Julie compliments Abigail's baking, which her sister had told her about, and Abigail wishes Julie good luck for the day. Mr. Goen stops by, feigning surprise but acknowledging Abigail's efforts in getting everything set up. Jack also visits the cafe, expressing his delight at finally having a customer order, the usual. He also thanks Abigail for helping prepare for Saturday night. Mr. Goen doesn't miss the chance to flirt with Abigail, saying the pastry couldn't be as sweet as her, which makes Abigail uncomfortable. In class, Elizabeth continues her lesson on entomology, explaining the different subgroups of insects, such as the study of bees. Julie once again interrupts her sister's lecture with knowledge she read about apiology, another term for the study of bees, prompting a reminder from Elizabeth. Elizabeth announces a treasure hunt field trip for small creatures in nature next week, asserting she will join the students in hunting for insects, even though Julie reveals Elizabeth is actually terrified of bugs. Constable O'Reilly, Julie's escort, has a conversation with Jack. O'Reilly explains he volunteered for this assignment after years in dangerous posts, keeping people safe, but after getting married and with his wife expecting their first child, he decided to find a more stable position. Life has a way of changing one's priorities, and now it's Jack's turn to chase criminals. Jack receives a letter notifying him of his transfer. He seems somewhat troubled, admitting he has grown accustomed to and made peace with this place, despite his earlier desire to leave, even requesting a transfer. O'Reilly notes that Jack has a difficult decision ahead. Elizabeth and Jack's dinner date takes place in a wonderfully romantic setting at Abigail's cafe, secretly and elaborately prepared with dishes Elizabeth has never experienced before. Elizabeth is incredibly surprised and happy to see Jack looking so dapper, and the flowers he brought are beautiful. They dance together and enjoy the sweet atmosphere, a well-kept secret. Elizabeth admits she's very glad Jack asked her to dinner, and Jack feels the same, though he confesses he doesn't have as much romantic experience as Elizabeth's suitors back home. Amanda's life doesn't allow much time for courting, making him feel lacking in that department, and his efforts tonight probably don't compare to theirs. Elizabeth reassures him that's not true. After the date, Elizabeth recounts the most enchanting evening of her entire life to Julie, beyond anything she could have dreamed, like something out of a romance novel. Julie is curious about the next chapter. Jack still hasn't told Elizabeth about his transfer orders. He's been assigned to a post he's always dreamed of in Cape Fullerton and must leave within 2 weeks, a decision that could affect his career. He confides in Abigail about the news, that it means leaving Coal Valley, though perhaps not permanently. Abigail advises Jack to tell Elizabeth the truth. Mr. Goen continues his unsettling advances towards Abigail at the cafe, trying to approach her inappropriately. Jack also shares with Abigail his investigation into the mine explosion, suspecting the company cut corners on safety, though he lacks hard proof, and that Noah, Abigail's late husband, might have known something due to disagreements with Goen before the explosion, the reasons for which Noah didn't specify. Jack suggests he needs Abigail's help as she might know information he can't share early in the investigation. During the class field trip, Julie, in her unsuitable shoes, is unenthusiastic about the bug hunt. Jack appears, and Elizabeth asks him to take Julie on a tour of the countryside, but Jack declines due to paperwork at the office, suggesting Constable O'Reilly go with Julie instead. Jack wants to talk privately with Elizabeth but is interrupted by Gabe showing off a slimy bug he found. He arranges a picnic with her for the next day. He'll prepare the food. Julie, while with O'Reilly, wanders off into the woods because nature calls, and stumbles upon an abandoned cabin. Inside, she encounters a wounded stranger named Nathaniel, who is holding a gun, telling her to calm down. Nathaniel explains he was chased by a group of men and thrown from his horse, getting tangled in barbed wire. Julie wants to take him to a doctor for medical attention, but Nathaniel refuses, asking only for bandages, alcohol, food, and painkillers, and warns Julie not to tell anyone and to be careful not to be followed for both their safety. Julie learns his name is Nathaniel, a very pretty name. Jack and O'Reilly discuss Jack's new post in Cape Fullerton, where he will face the dangerous Tolliver gang led by Nate Tolliver, who has committed numerous bank robberies. Mr. Goen continues to pressure Abigail, inviting her to a business lunch even though the cafe is closed, and Abigail reluctantly agrees as it's business and will be strictly professional at his office. Julie returns to the cabin to care for Nathaniel, who is feverish and needs his wound cleaned. Nathaniel reveals he was forced by his brother Joe and his gang to participate in a bank robbery, and his wound was from trying to protect an innocent man more than once, which makes Julie believe he's a good man. Abigail, while waiting for Mr. Goen, stumbles upon a company ledger that might contain crucial information. Elizabeth and Jack's picnic takes place in a beautiful setting. Jack confesses to Elizabeth about his transfer orders to Cape Fullerton. Elizabeth, though heartbroken and thinking it's her fault, also says Jack should follow his dream and she doesn't want to be the one to stop him. Abigail, after Elizabeth recounts the news, believes Jack truly loves Elizabeth but doesn't want her to wait. Gabe, a student, tells Jack he knew whom he would marry from the first moment he saw her, that his future was clear as day, a comment that makes Jack ponder. Ultimately, Jack decides he won't leave Coal Valley and will file an official appeal to stay, despite the career risks, for Elizabeth. However, Elizabeth, unwilling to hinder Jack's dreams and fearing he would regret it, painfully tells him he must go, that it's what her heart tells her. Julie finds Nathaniel delirious with fever, calling out for Joe, and decides to take him to Coal Valley for medical attention. Meanwhile, Joe's gang, Nathaniel's brother, is hunting him, ready to do anything to find him. Jack, preparing to leave, gives O'Reilly a file on safety violations at the mine and mentions Abigail Stanton as a potential ally. He wishes O'Reilly a safe journey. When Julie brings Nathaniel to town, everyone is alarmed. Dr. Higgins diagnoses Nathaniel with sepsis from lead poisoning from the bullet. He will return in the morning to check on him, and if Nathaniel worsens during the night, they must call him immediately. Elizabeth, devastated by Jack's departure, is comforted by Julie who says Jack will save them because he's the hero of this story, but Elizabeth replies that this is real life with consequences and heartbreak. Julie then reveals that Jack left that morning.